Welcome to episode 1010. It's Thursday, February 12th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners like you. Pick up a domain name for just $1.49 or get 30% off your next purchase at GoDaddy. All my GoDaddy specials can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Start supporting this show today by becoming a GNC Insider at geeknewscentral.com/insider. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. We've got a great show lined up for you. It's glad to be back. Lots to share. I mean, it's been insane about the past week here, but it's ready to talk tech. You know what comes next? Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central. Of course, again, my name is Todd Cochran. I'm absolutely jazzed to be back here in the studio in Honolulu. Been away a week and lots to talk and lots to share. But I want to give a very, very warm Ohana welcome to everyone that's basically subscribed to the show, all of you that are longtime listeners and viewers of the show. Thanks for being here and thanks for staying subscribed. We've got a great show lined up for you tonight and lots to catch up on. Of course, if you're brand new to the show, we want to encourage you. The most important thing you can do tonight, besides listening or whenever you're checking the show out, the most important thing you can do is really to get over to the website at geeknewscentral.com and get subscribed to the show. You can do that real easy. Right on the main page at Geek News Central, there is 3 options. Subscribe on iTunes, subscribe via RSS, or there's some additional subscription options which will take you to the subscribe page. They'll tell you different ways to get connected with the show. And depending on the type of device you have. Now, if you're an Android user, we really want you to, think about downloading a podcast app, whether it be Beyond Pod for Android or Podcast Republic. Those are 2 free, very good apps for Android. We want you to grab those or one that you may choose on your own. And all you got to do is add Geek News Central to the playlist, and that way you'll never miss a single episode. So we want you to get subscribed. It's probably the most important thing you can do to stay connected with this show. And, of course, the second most important thing is to sign up for the newsletter. The newsletter's a link to it is in the important links section of the website. It's right there at the top. You click on that. It's real simple. You just basically add your email address to our Google Plus group, and you'll get the show notes delivered directly to your inbox immediately following the show. That email is a one-way deal. It's not a bunch of chitter-chatter going on. It's just me sending out all the links and, of course, a link to the podcast media as well. But anyway, get subscribed to the show, and we definitely appreciate when you do that. Of course, everyone, it's been, I went to Chicago a week ago and expecting the worst. The weather wasn't actually too bad. But I have a lot to share on my trip to what I can share, I will share tonight on my trip to Chicago, and then, of course, what's been going around here this week. And I know that emails have continued to flood in, so we will have commentary at the end of tonight's show that basically will go over all the email that's come in the past week. But if you have comments on today's show, geeknews@gmail.com. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter @geeknews. All the social media sites as well, Google+, Facebook, it's all on the website. So don't despair. You can stay connected with the Ohana here. And again, if you're brand new to the show, Ohana in Hawaiian is family. And we really take that to the 9th degree here because everyone that's part of this audience is Ohana. So when you send your emails or your comments, and if you have never done that before, make sure you introduce yourself. Let me know where you're from. Where you're listening to the show or how you're listening to the show, whether it be on a Roku, Samsung Smart TV, Google TV, Chromecast, iOS device, Android, whichever way you're watching or listening to the show. let me know that and give me a little background so that I can get to know you. Oftentimes, I'll go to meetups and stuff, and I'll meet people for the very first time, and they'll know me, but I'll have really not a lot of insight into them. So definitely, basically, bring me up to speed on you when you send emails in, and I definitely appreciate that. Well, of course, you can check us out on the Tech Podcast channel, again, on the Roku, Boxy, Samsung Smart TV, Google TV, now becoming Android TV. So lots of exciting stuff in that department. Tonight's show is sponsored in part, of course, by our good friends over at GoDaddy.com. And as I said in the intro of the show, we have great deals for you at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And those codes and those deals continue to rack up. You guys have been hitting it out of the ballpark, and I definitely appreciate it. But it's largely because these deals are fantastic. You know, we've got the 30% off code by using the promo code GNC30. That's 30% off all new orders with $1.49.coms on new or transfers for Geek149 is the code Geek149. Get $1.49.com. Of course, you can get a domain, website builder, Microsoft Outlook email address, $1 a month for 12 months, so $12 on that. We've got $1 a month WordPress hosting, $1 a month economy hosting. We've got 50% off on new hosting plans, 50% off on 12 months of business website builder. The list is just ginormous. And if it doesn't have a strike through on it, it means that deal is still available, and you can hook it up at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And do want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here, taking care of my family, keeping the lights on, keeping the food on the table. And I appreciate your support of GoDaddy as a sponsor to the show. I think in a couple of weeks, I'm actually going to have one of the GoDaddy main team members, I believe the hosting developer, the guy that's in charge of all GoDaddy hosting is going to be on. I'm going to do a special interview with him that will slide into this show. And I really want to kind of dig in deep and find out what they're doing. We've never really done that before. We've had some stuff from Danica in the past, but this will be the first time we're really kind of do a deep dive on some of the new products that GoDaddy's bringing to market, and I'm excited to be able to bring that segment to you at some time. And I think we're going to do it at the end of the month. But anyway, I'll keep you advised on that. But anyway, again, geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy's where all those codes are at. Definitely get over there and pick one up, pick a product up, pick a service up, and use my code, save a lot of money, share it with your friends, family members. And if you haven't got that Valentine's Day gift, fellas, you still have time. Buy that family domain, or that you and your wife's name, some maybe lover or Valentine's or something like that. Put a WordPress site up real quick. Get one of the templates that supports photographs. Put your wedding pictures up, baby pictures, all that stuff. Give her a little Valentine's gift that she can go to and show off to her girlfriends. And that's what it's all about. The time is near. And if you don't make this one, we'll remind you on the next holiday. But don't forget out there to get those flowers and everything else. Okay, so anyway, let me just talk just a little bit here about the past week. Thursday night, got to the airport, flew all night. Got into Chicago in the morning, got in the car and not in the car, but in the cab, and went to the hotel downtown. We stay at a Hilton Suites downtown, and got into the hotel. They had the room. Basically, it was ready for me. I went in. So by the time I got in the room and everything, it was 7 a.m., and I hadn't slept too much on the flight. So I took a 2-hour combat nap and got up and got a shower, and the guys, Angelo and Brian, were already in town, and they had their breakfast already, and we just basically, they came up and we got set up, and within about 20 minutes we were into our agenda, and our agenda typically is about 10 pages. This year we had probably 5 pages of developmental discussions and what we're going to do in the coming year. And really, we were hot and heavy into that for at least a day and a half. And about Saturday around noon, this whole plan for 2015 kind of, for a better word, came together. And there was very specific points. And, one thing that we've tried to do is we're And I really have to be careful here because if I release or talk about anything that we talked about that's too in depth, I'm going to get shot on the spot. But it's basically we're sticking with our core and stuff that we do best for podcasters and part of our charter, tools and services that make podcasters, allow them to grow their shows. And there was like three major things, and I'm hoping we're going to be able to announce at NAB in April. That is going to be one of the most probably explosive announcements we will have made in many, many, many years. I was literally, and I know I'm a tease, and I don't want to get too deep into this with you guys, but I was literally jumping up and down in the suite, excited about the whole scope of things. Angela had this idea on something, and they just kept hitting me, and I wasn't fully getting it. And then we buy these, basically they're big Post-it notes that you stick on the wall. They're 2 feet by 3 feet, and we're drawing all this stuff up. And by the time we got done with the weekend, we had 30 of these everywhere. And the roadmap and all this stuff and priorities and racked and stacked and whole 9 yards. But come Saturday about noon, it was just like the light bulb completely went on, and I was like, holy crap, we have got something like wow, holy Toledo. You get my point. It was big. And then we've got another plan. There's, of course, we got New Media Expo in April in conjunction with NAB. We'll have some announcements then, and then we've got another roadmap thing, and it's something even bigger we're going to announce in August or July or August, whenever podcast movement is in Dallas. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us, and we're going to be hiring some people because we have to have more people on board in order to get where we need to be in the time we need to get there. And I'm really excited. We did 58 hours straight. Well, not straight. 58 hours over 3 days of just planning. It was every night right up until midnight, and it was, some of the stuff was administrative, but really getting everything, the stars aligned. It's amazing what you can do, and some of the stuff we're going to start to see short term that aren't such a big deal. But everything from PowerPress updates to just the whole system. I'm really jazzed. I really am. And I just kind of walked away from that weekend like the picture that we want to present and the focus is going to be laser clear for podcasters, and I'm really excited. So anyway, that's all on what happened over the past weekend. I got back Monday. Things were just too crazy here. I had my son had soccer practice. By the time I got back to the house, it was stick a fork in me. I was done. So no show on Monday. But this week has been all about catch up. I have literally a pile of paperwork over here of stuff that has come in. Now, on top of this, I have another trip that I'm going to be doing, but there's going to be no change to the show. I fly out Sunday morning for California. I've got a couple of cities I have to be in throughout the week. Can't talk about any of the details about this specific trip. Again, it's part of the grand plan over the next 2-3 months. So I'll be in California for a whole week, and then I'll be coming back on Saturday. But I'll be doing 2 shows from the hotel room, audio only, next week, Monday and Thursday. So don't worry, there'll be shows next week. They just will not be live. Also, the guys that have been just crazy. I mean, the team has been fantastic at Geek News Central. And we're almost, and I need to look, to be honest with you, I haven't even looked at the spreadsheet, but I know we're getting close to getting them all done because we have articles on basically other team members from CES. Stuff has been going up. The F5 guys, Adidas, we've got stuff from iSmart Alarm, we've got pocket-sized big screen TV, Monster DNA headphones, we've got stuff from AMP for those of you in audio, we've got some Sennheiser stuff. It just on and on and on. I was watching some of these videos because I didn't see them, and I was just like, wow. I mean, the breadth of data we've covered. You have to admit, the content we covered in Vegas, it's on and on and on and on. It blows me away. It really does. So anyway, that definitely get over to geeknewscentral.com and watch those videos. Be subscribed to the special media feed. That way you'll get everything. We want you not to miss any specific article. Also, I want to talk about one thing. The folks at Dell sent me, and those of you that are watching, what they sent me, and I knew it was coming. And let me bring this up on the website, or up on the live video stream, is they sent me a XPS 13. And what that is it's the new Dell XPS 13 laptop. And it's the smallest 13-inch laptop on the planet. And I just want to show it to you guys here because this thing, and those of you that are watching right now, is, I would say, by far, I've only been using it 2 days. And if you compare it to a MacBook Air, as a matter of fact, I got a buddy that's got a MacBook Air, and he laid his MacBook Air on top of this. It's exactly the same footprint. This one's a little thinner, but the screen is 2 inches bigger than the MacBook Air. And this is running a Core i5. They sent me an i5 with 8 gigs of RAM in it. Of course, Windows 8.1. And it's got a aluminum base with carbon fiber up on top, so it's not hot to work on. It's got an interesting, pretty interesting mouse pad here. But I will say that I never thought I would use a smaller tablet. This has got like a 3,000 by something screen resolution. I never thought I would be this enamored with a small laptop, and I am really excited about this XPS, and I'll be talking about it more as I go through and run this thing through the ringers and playing with it. But it's one of those devices that, while it won't, well, it'll do everything. It will, and I don't know if I'd process video on it because it's an i5, but everything else, Jack, you're going to love this. I'm finally starting to see the light of 8.1, and this reason is because this is the first time I've had a touch screen. So I found myself touching the screen a few times when I was up, in the original interface. But this is an awesome laptop. But anyway, long story short, we'll be talking about it more. But and of course, Dell sent the laptop, so just a disclaimer here, they did send it to me to do a review on it. But they're letting me keep it. Now I got to pay the tax on it, which is no big deal. But this is probably one of the few devices in recent times that I will actually keep. So I'm pretty excited about running this through the ringers over the next 3 or 4 weeks. But anyway, I digress. I just wanted to kind of share that with you. That's here, and I was pretty impressed with this laptop just to start off with. So, those of you that are on live stream, on YouTube right now, we're at live.geeknewscentral.com. So feel free to come over and get in the chat room and say hi. So live.geeknewscentral.com is and you find that link right on the website at geeknewscentral.com. Come over and hang out with us. So let me see if I've got everything else. Do want to welcome, Sean Thorpe is a writer that's been writing for us at Podcaster News. Also been writing for us, and his wife has been writing it on Geek News Central. So you see him and his wife putting up a lot of content on Geek News Central. And actually, we brought Sean on to actually help us do tech support, social media tech support, when people are having problems on social media with their products and services. So Sean has gotten really integrated heavily into my team, and I'm excited to have him on board. So I just wanted to give him a shout out, of course, his lovely wife as well. But don't forget on Geek News Central that we've got Robot Underpants, we've got the Elder Divide, we've got the Gadget Professor, we've got Health Tech Weekly, we've got the special media events, which is all the CES content, and of course we've got the new media show. And so all the shows that are part of the network, definitely check them all out. And we're at the point now where we might be starting to look for another couple of shows. So if you have an interest in becoming a podcaster and working with me directly, definitely send me an email to geeknews at gmail.com. All right, so let me switch gears here because I've chatted a long time about, and I probably didn't tell you anything. I promise you, when we have something to announce, you guys will be first. All right, I'll tell you guys first. When we have stuff, when we're ready to do official rollouts, because you guys been here, you've been part of the family, hanging out with me all these years, and I definitely appreciate it. But anyway, I digress. Let me go ahead and get into the regular stack. Good stack of content tonight from the tech side, and I think the first thing I want to start off with is something that Facebook has initiated, and I'll be the first to admit I'm spending probably too much time in Facebook, but I just recently, 2 days ago, got a text from a buddy of mine. It's on the East Coast. Someone that I worked with from years before passed away from complications of a surgery they were in. And somebody that I followed on Facebook, and I was like, wow, what's going to happen now? I didn't know if his wife had the password, and, of course, the page hadn't been updated. And I just, kind of came home to me a little bit about all these social connections we have. And I heard today that Facebook is going to now allow users to point an error for their account. And this is kind of interesting. So it's a legacy contact. Now, the way they're describing this is a legacy contact is someone you choose to manage your account after you pass away. They'll be able to do things like pin a post on your timeline, respond to a new friend request, and update your profile pictures. They won't be able to post as you or see your prior messages. So they've got some rules in place, and you won't be able to, some stuff you won't be able to delete and so forth. You'll be able to add some pictures, but up until now, Facebook has only offered a basic memorialized account, which could only be viewed, but could not be altered after someone passed away. So they're really kind of figuring out here they need to have a little bit more. So this error, while they'll be able to go in and, basically say, hey, he died, and put whatever he wants on the website, the Facebook user will not be able to tinker with other settings of the account, nor read the person's private messages. Again, the appointing a legacy contact is optional. Users may also choose to have their Facebook accounts deleted permanently after their death, and legacy contacts can be added by going to the account setting section. And this feature is going to be rolled out in the United States first, and it's not clear when it will be available in all other countries. So the question we have to really think about here, and what I've done in my house, is I have a special password-controlled account on a service that basically gives my wife and kids access to my email passwords, my Twitter, my Facebook, my all the auxiliary services that I use that I log into on a daily basis that they necessarily don't know. They've got the master password, so that if something happens to me, they can open that up and be able to look at it and get the passwords, make the changes, close accounts if they need. So as we all age, I think we all have to think about these types of things, especially now that we're in this digital world. It used to be pretty simple. You died. They had put you in a box. They buried you. They had a memorial service. And you took care of the checking account. You took care of a few things from the car. And, there was just a handful of things that people had to deal with when someone died. Now with this whole digital presence, it's a much, much bigger deal. So think about that, because you never know. Your marker can be reached at any given time. And when that marker is reached, you're not going beyond it. As much as you want to, you can't. And they're not going to pack away your MacBook in the casket with you. There's no Wi-Fi in the afterlife. So you are definitely you're done. So make sure that your loved ones have access to the content that you have so painstakingly worked and maintaining over the years. And if you decide that you want stuff deleted, then here's some new options for you. All right, switching gears completely here. Let's talk about what's in your old emails. Did you know, and I don't know if we've talked about this on the show before, but did you know that the United States government, after your email is 180 days old, yes, only 180 days old, can get access to your email? It's and they can do so very easily. So if you've been remiss about cleaning out your email inbox, I don't delete anything from my inbox. The federal government can read any emails that are more than 6 months old, get this, without a warrant. Now, this is not known to most of us. I didn't really realize this. Now, ambiguous language in the communication law passed in 1986 extends Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable search and seizure only to electronic communications sent or received fewer than 180 days ago. The language, again, is known as the 180-day rule. It allows government officials to treat any email, text messages, or documents stored on remote servers, popularly known as the cloud, as abandoned, and therefore accessible using administrative subpoena power, a tactic that critics say circumvents due process. Now, as you rush to purge your Gmail and Dropbox accounts, however, be forewarned that even deleted files could still be fair game as long as copy exists on a third-party server somewhere. The Electronic Communication Privacy Act in 1986 was written at a time when most people did not have an email account. And so the government essentially using an arcane loophole to breach the privacy rights of Americans. They can't kick your door down and seize documents on your desk, but they could send a request to Google and ask for all documents that are in your Gmail account, okay? So there's some legislation that's being proposed to kind of close that loophole, but right now, that's not the case. And I'll have the link up in the show notes for you tonight so that you can read this in its entirety on your own, but just be aware of that, okay? Also, the president is set to announce an executive order on cybersecurity threat data. The president, again, is going to be announcing or directing the government and companies to share more information about cybersecurity threats in response to the attack that happened to like Sony Entertainment. This is interesting. The announcement could come tonight or even tomorrow. And he's supposed to be at a day-long cybersecurity conference at Stanford in Silicon Valley. So this anticipated order would only be a modest step in one of the president's major priorities, the defense of companies from attacks like those on Sony and Anthem Incorporated. So, of course, Anthem was the healthcare facility. Is there any more information here? I think that's it. The administration said they would prefer legislation that would require more information sharing and limit any legal liabilities for companies that share too much. But getting anything requirements, of course, on the subject has been a pain, and it's unlikely to get much better with at least support of big Silicon Valley companies behind it. So we'll see where this leads and whether or not it has an effect or not. But it looks like another executive order coming down. How many of you watched the SpaceX launch? I didn't get to see it. I got to see the rerun of the SpaceX launch yesterday. But there's a cool photo that has come out. And it is awesome. Now, I still love watching their launches because they have a camera that's actually in the fuel tank. And you can actually see the fuel draining down. And when it runs out, obviously the engine kicks off and they can... they have to punch the stage out, but here's basically a camera view that is focused on the engine. But what is in the big background? The big blue marble, Earth. Awesome picture, pretty unique here. Elon Musk tweeted this, showing the Falcon 9 rocket second stage carrying the Discover satellite to its parking orbit, and of course Earth shining in the background. So very, very cool. Nice launch. Good job to the SpaceX team. I know they couldn't land on the barge in the ocean because of rough weather. So, but they did have some images of it that came all the way down, and they were upright when they entered the water. So it looks like they're ready to do that barge landing. Those of you that are Star Wars fans, you're going to love this because future space station astronauts have basically created a pretty cool photo. Now, I don't know if they've had to license this from from them or not, but they're all dressed as Jedis, and so they basically put a Star Wars inspired poster up. And so this is for one of the space expedition upcoming teams. And so pretty cool. They've done a nice job here on this. So I don't know if this is photoshopped or if they all stood and got the actual picture taken, but very, very cool stuff. So I'll have the link up for you to take a peek at. All right. All right. So getting a little deeper into tech, there's a proposed bill that's going to limit reach of U.S. search warrants on overseas servers. Of course, the administration's right now says that companies operating in the United States must comply with U.S. search warrant data when the data is stored on overseas servers. It's a long-standing position, and one that one would have to change the legislation to change it. So the legislation is called the Law Enforcement Access to Data Stored Abroad. It's directed at a federal court, requiring it's based on a federal court ruling that required Microsoft to turn over emails stored on Irish servers to assist the Department of Justice in a drug investigation. So Senator Orrin Hatch, Republican of Utah, said the measure he is co-sponsoring would promote international comity and law enforcement. I just probably blew that. COMITY, comity, and I don't even know what that word means. So that tells you how much I know. And law enforcement cooperation. Microsoft said the legislation was common sense and a very important step. The bill would require companies based in the United States to turn over data stored on its overseas servers only if the warrant targeted a United States person. The legislation does not alter the law requiring U.S. industry, when presented with a warrant, to hand over data stored on U.S. servers, no matter the target's nationality. The measure also requires a court to modify or vacate a warrant if a company makes a motion to the court and the court finds that the warrant would require the provider to violate the laws of a foreign country. So in the end, they're basically saying they must strengthen privacy in the digital age and promote trust in U.S. technologies worldwide by safeguarding data stored abroad while still enabling law enforcement to fulfill its important public safety mission, Senator Hatch said. And again, the bill is now co-sponsored by Senator Chris Coons, a Democrat of Delaware, and Dean Heller, Republican of Nevada. So you, a U.S. citizen, and you do something that becomes underneath the eye of the United States government, they're going to get that data one way or the other. But it does sound like it's going to protect foreign parties from that type of stuff. All right. I saw a video the other day that blew me away. And if there's any video if there's anything you do from this show, I want you to watch the show of a 19-year-old who built a $350 robotic arm, and he actually has done something very incredible. He's released the project and the source code as open source. And this 19-year-old is going to go on to do some very major things. He's a recent high school graduate, again, who built a $350 robotic arm controlled with thoughts of showing anyone how to build it. His goal is to let anyone who is missing an arm use a robotic arm at a vastly cheaper cost than like a $60 or $80 or $100,000 prosthetic limb that, again, can cost to tens of thousands of dollars. When he was 14, this young man built a robotic hand controlled by a wireless control glove. He used Legos to back the device motors from toy airplanes, fishing line for the tendons, and electric tubing for the fingers. But it's gotten much, much better. And so he's done some amazing things here. And when you see the video, you're going to be blown away. He did a TED Talk, and he presented at CES as well. And when you see what this young man has done, it's going to give you guys all some motivation and hope. You know, I see so many teenagers these days that I'm just like, oh, And I guess I become my grandfather. He's like, the country's going to hell in a handbasket, he'd always say. And I'm not necessarily that big of a naysayer, but sometimes I just scratch my head a little bit. But here you got a young man that's doing this. Started when he was 14, now he's 19. It's really the future's bright, and we've got some smart kids and young men and women that are going to be doing some incredible stuff. So we all have to stay healthy to stay around to watch all this stuff. Because it's going to be a crazy ride as we move forward, and stuff is just going to speed up even more. There's a new initiative by Electronic Frontier Foundation, and you guys are gonna be like, you got any car mechanics out here? You got any of you guys work on vehicles? So, did you guys know that there's some concerns about copyright in your vehicle? And you may wonder, what does copyright have to do with a car? But as ridiculous as this may sound, sections of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act could actually prevent a car owner from looking under the hood or even protecting themselves from vulnerabilities and malware. So, modern cars come with dozens of onboard computers that run potentially copyrighted code put there by the manufacturers. You or your own mechanic may need access to that code for repairs and customization, and researchers need to access to discover and fix software problems that threaten your safety and the security of your vehicle. But when manufacturers add technology restrictions to keep you from even looking at that code, it may be unlawful under the DMCA to work around those restrictions. So what the EFF has done is they said, we can clear up the dark legal cloud that hovers around car repair and research every 3 years. The Librarian of Congress and the Copyright Office can grant exemptions to these DRM rules, and the EFS is fighting for exemptions that would make it clear that copyright can't stand in the way of car repair. So there's a petition you sign below to support the efforts on this webpage that I have up for those of you watching the video, and for those of you that are listening, the link for the EFF petition will be in the show notes tonight. And basically, all it's saying to the Copyright Office is, I support EFS's petition for vehicle repair and research exemptions to the DMCA anti-circumvention provision. Nobody should need to hire a copyright lawyer before fixing your car. So this is something the EFF's got going on. I have a link up, and if you feel that this is a worthy cause, feel free to sign the petition that it's going to go off to the Copyright Office, okay? All right, wireless net neutrality puts Verizon and rivals on equal footing. So when Verizon Wireless spent about $4 trillion, actually $4 billion for a chunk of the prime 700 megahertz spectrum in 2008, you guys remember that, it came at an additional price of facing rules that its rivals wouldn't have to follow. And Google had entered that bidding war to make sure that it would hit the $4.6 billion reserve price that triggered rules preventing Verizon from blocking applications or devices. So by now, what's coming is that all carriers may soon face rules that are similar to what Verizon has followed. That's because the FCC is proposing to apply net neutrality rules equally to fixed and mobile broadband networks, in contrast to previous net neutrality rules that exempted wireless networks from key provisions. Now, the proposal bans on blocking and throttling extended to legal content, application services, and non-harmful devices. Now, an FCC spokesman confirmed that the proposed net neutrality rules will have essentially the same effect as the requirements applied to Verizon's 700 megahertz spectrum, despite being worded just a little bit differently. So this is big news here. And of course, the FCC came out last week and announced all the other net neutrality stuff and where it's going to go. Title II, which we didn't get to talk about while I was gone. I'm sure you guys have been reading about this. So big debate been going on here in a local Hawaii Facebook group about the Title II ruling. One thing and we're not going to spend very much time on this tonight, but what I want you to understand is that no matter how the FCC votes in another 14 days or so, there is going to be legal war like you've never seen before. And we're going to be talking about this for several years, I'm sure. So this is just one more strike here of the FCC trying to equal the playing field. If you're for Title II or against Title II, it's definitely going to give us some stuff to chit-chat about over time. Now, Samsung has been in the news recently, and in not necessarily a positive way. So imagine you've got a Samsung TV, and you've loaded an app on it, and all of a sudden, the Samsung TV started inserting ads into your movies that you were using from the Plex app to play stuff that was on your local hard drive. Well, apparently, some Plex users were seeing about every 30 minutes an ad from Ford that was being played in amongst their video that was being streamed from their home server. This got a lot of attention on Reddit. Samsung accepted the blame for the ad after the story was published, and its spokesman told them it was an error that was confined to TVs sold in Australia. This is exactly what Samsung said. We're aware of a situation that has caused some smart TV users in Australia to experience program interruption in the form of an advertisement. This seems to be created by an error, and we are currently conducting a full and thorough investigation into the cause. This situation has been reported only in Australia. We'd like to apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused. And Plex has basically said, hey, it's not us, we're not doing it. And so people are very, very upset that, playing their own media, Samsung would have basically usurped it with an ad of their own. So, had to have a little shot of H2O here. But that's not the only news Samsung was in, and this one turned out to be kind of a misreading. But a few days ago, Samsung has basically got something in their terms of service that basically says, hey, the TV will listen to you. And thinking, the TV's going to listen to me? So, again, there was a fair amount of freaking out over the privacy policies associated with Samsung Smart TVs, which essentially warns customers that if your spoken words include personal or other sensitive information, that information will be among the data captured and transmitted to a third party through the use of your voice recognition. Well, people are like, what? My TV's listening to me? And I'm thinking to myself, when I first saw this pop up, this can't be right. Well, what it turns out is that when you talk to your Samsung TV on these smart TVs, you can talk to them to change channels, change apps. The TV does listen to you when you're talking to it, pressing the talk button. It doesn't listen to you any other time, or it doesn't record anything. So, but people are worried that there could be some workarounds, and hoaxers could basically have some fun. Wireless protocols could be used to, do things that shouldn't be done. There's a whole list of things, but Samsung's taking a couple of major hits here, and it's amazing that they're taking that data. When you talk to your TV and say fast forward or chapter 3 or next picture or whatever you're saying to your device, why are they sending that to a third party? Now, I'm sure some people are going to have some fun with this. Maybe they'll play certain kinds of videos and record all of the voice, basically the talk button pressed, and let that all go back and have those, whoever's monitoring or reviewing this material get an earful. So there could be some playing around there, but we'll see what happens. But Samsung in the news, 2 articles in a row here that's not super good, and but it's all about these smart devices and everything, the connected home. One thing we should look at, and I'm sure all of you have been listening to the Brian Williams saga and being suspended from NBC for 6 months. There's a few other people on NBC and maybe some other channels that should be suspended too for some of the stuff they say. But one thing that we all have to keep clear is the news, whatever you listen to, all of it is biased, and all of it is purely entertainment. They do some serious journalistic reporting from time to time, when there's disasters and loss of life is obviously very serious. But the rest of TV is largely entertainment, especially a lot of news is entertainment. So I think it's important that we all need to understand that social media and Twitter and Google Plus is ways where we can ensure that there's still freedom of press and stuff is accurately reported. Everyone's got a cell phone now. They're capturing stuff. They're obviously capturing police actions. They're capturing people that are doing stuff they're not supposed to. All kinds of the mobile device is being used in a big way, and I think it's important now that we continue to press forward and make sure that if the press isn't going to report on stuff honestly, that we do. In countries like Egypt, Iran, if you're a journalist there and you say something wrong, they just come get you and shoot you in the head. There is no freedom per se of speech or freedom of press. But one thing that's important is Turkey tried to shut down the internet, lock it out, and they found it was obviously very hard to do that because stuff was still getting out. But this allows peoples in a variety of countries that are under regimes or not regimes, are basically trying to add to the story here in the United States or in other countries. It's good that we have these outlets to be able to put this stuff up and online. And we know that there's been a dramatic decline in freedom of information. 2/3 of the 180 countries surveyed for the 2015 World Press Freedom Index performed less well than in the previous years, and the annual global indicator, which measures the overall level of violations of freedom of information in 180 countries year by year, has risen to 3,119, an 8% increase over 2013, and over 2014, almost 10% compared with 2013. So media and new media, and new media is what I'm doing here, is everywhere. And we can keep people very, very honest. There's a huge amount of money being spent on a rail system here in Hawaii, and they're like 9 already, and they're not even just a couple of years in, $900 million over budget. And the person that's doing their auditing is saying, hey, they're putting in no cost control, so they're just, spending money like a drunken sailor. And the only way that the news is getting out is by independent people reporting on stuff, because largely the local news is not covering some of that type of content. So we have to do it and get the word out there as needed to, and all you got to do is sometimes just pick up your phone and turn the camera on, depending on where you're at, and put it on Facebook, and you can add to the conversation. Okay, a little bit switch up on the tech side here. Windows 10 Tech Review arrives on Windows Phone. So if you want to see what Windows 10 looks like on smaller screens, you now have your chance. Microsoft has released a technical preview of the new OS for smartphones, and this is extra early version. Won't include the next-gen Spartan browser, but it is available, and you can download it and check it out for those of you that are brave enough to load that on your Windows Phone. Apple's also going to be building an incredible solar farm. They're investing $850 million to build a giant solar farm. By the way, my electricity bill, $19.95, and that's the minimum connection fee. So for those of you that wanted to know, we went from when we first installed it to a little over $200 bill to one full month, $19.95 was my bill. Woo hoo 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 hoo. And I'm watching it now as the days are getting a little longer and the weather's being a little nicer. The amount of power, I think the most my panels have created in one day was 48.7 kilowatts. So that was one day of power creation. So I'm like, yeah. So I'm really pretty happy with the system so far. We'll talk about the tax ramifications as we go see the tax man later. But anyway, the solar farm that Apple's building, $850 million, is basically going to zero them out from it's enough panels, over 1,300 acres. That's huge. 1,300 acres in Monterey. If you think about, I know Monterey, that's like prime real estate, right? And they're going to put 1,300 acres under solar panels, and the energy will be used in at least as a trade-off to power Apple's new headquarters. But the project expected to add 130 megawatts of solar power to California, enough to power about 50,000 homes. It will cover all the company's energy needs in the state, including Apple Campus 2 and other California corporate offices, the data center in Newark, California, and the 52 Apple stores in California. So First Solar says the 25-year deal is the largest agreement in the industry to provide clean energy to a commercial end user. The company also says the Apple investment will pay dividends for the entire state down the road. Apple is leading the way in addressing climate change by showing how large companies can serve their operations with 100% clean, renewable energy. So I think they're doing a trade. They're putting into the grid what they take out. And I think big companies should be embracing this in a big way. They really, really should. Okay, if you use WAS, like I do a lot, police are trying to undermine WAS with a deluge of phony cop sightings. So people just police officers are dropping police visible all over the map when they're really not there. And it's a little bit of a war that's going on between WAS and law enforcement because they're affecting them writing tickets. So just be aware of that and make sure you report. You don't, keep an eye. And if you get to an area and there's not a police officer there, make sure you, submit that in the WAS app so that that can be removed when it's a false report. Over on Lifehacker, 37 Android apps free. So basically, Amazon's kicking off another huge Android app sale with 37 premium apps valued over $140 free. And there's a full list available and a lot of games and stuff. So definitely check that out. Now, it's nice to see that they do that from time to time. Also, ESA's spacecraft is a bit banged up after its fiery re-entry. Of course, all spacecraft that come back and make a landing here are a little bit banged up. Most of the time, the paint is peeled off. It actually doesn't look too bad for wear for those of you who are watching the show. Again, this was after re-entry, they basically loaded it up on the ship. So anyway, I have the article up, link up in the show notes. Lots of cool stuff going on in the space sector right now. All right. Also, I was looking at Apple's Android numbers. Excuse me, not Apple's. Google's Android numbers here recently. And the last article that came out with market share was like back in November. And a couple days ago, there's a new one out by Business Insider. And for the first time, sales of Google Android mobile devices have gone into a decline. This is a pretty amazing defeat for a product or for an operating system that is essentially given away free to manufacturers. And Google should be a little bit worried about this, considering that a $700 phone, essentially, is outperforming or basically making an impact enough to cause their numbers to decline. Now, don't get me wrong here. Android number of units sold worldwide in fourth quarter of 2014 was 205 million. In third quarter of 2014, it was 217 million. Now, forked Android was about 85 even. So all told on the Android side, about 290 million units were shipped in the fourth quarter as compared to iOS with 74 million units. Now, if you look at the U.S. market, it's more even. Worldwide, Android is obviously leading the pack, but in the United States, it's not as big of a divide. And but it is interesting to see that they've seen a decline in the total number of sales. We'll see. Maybe we're in between releases. There's a lot of things that can drive those numbers down in the cycle, but we'll keep an eye on it till the next quarter when there's some new numbers reported. All right, Slack. You guys heard about Slack? Everyone's telling me Slack is like the business app to use. But on its first birthday, Slack has declared itself the fastest growing business app ever, with 500,000 people using it every day. Primarily, it's a communication platform being used by teams. And maybe I just need to pay attention to what's going on here. But Slack said it had 12 million in annual recurring revenue, which is interesting, and adds up to monthly and quarterly subscriptions. And but boy, oh boy, that's an interesting move here with this particular app. And it's something that's kind of slid underneath my radar. So I'm definitely going to have to go back and look and see what if any of you are using it. I'd like to hear your use case of using Slack. Do you guys know who Charles Darwin is? Everyone knows, right? Okay, well, if you if you are of any significant age, you've heard of Charles Darwin. Well, there's been some documents that have been recovered that survived, basically 200 plus years, and but his children, some of the draft stuff that he used, his children used for doodling. And so it's kind of funny here because stuff that he did not publish, or basically it was drafts of his published project, his manuscript, many of those pages were thrown to the side, and his kids basically were using them for scrap paper. So it's interesting to see that the things haven't changed too much in 200 years, because I have scrap paper here too, and my kids do the same thing. They all the time they're coming, can I have some paper? And I'm like, there's 10 sheets that we're going to go in the shredder. You can use them. And my kids write on stuff all the time too. So it kind of made me laugh a little bit when I saw this. Some guy figured out how to delete every photo on Facebook. Yes, some guy figured out how, in 4 lines of code, how to delete every picture and basically every collection in Facebook. And if he would have been malicious within a very short amount of time, he could have ran a script and deleted millions of people's accounts' pictures. Instead, he turned the bug in to Facebook and was rewarded a finder's fee for the bug of $12,500. And I'm thinking to myself, he basically was able to write a hack in 4 lines of code. He said it took him, maybe 15 minutes to do it. And he was doing some experiments, and they only gave him $12,500. They should have added another 0 to that. I'm just shocked that they didn't pay him that much for finding that big of a bug. That's a huge. Can you imagine all your pictures being deleted off Facebook? My wife would scream. She's got it all private. It's just, don't ask me why. Can't tell her any different. Anyway, that's it. All right, Apple increases maximum app size from 2 gigs to 4 gigs. Only for those of you that are devs who care about that, but that's a big change. I kind of wish they wouldn't, because it's just going to make the games bigger. All right, let's go rapid fire here. It says we're coming close to the top of the hour. Twitter considers increasing the number of ads in your feed. Basically, like every 20 tweets would be an ad. It seems a little excessive, but that's maybe the plan. Also, if you buy 3 months of Sling TV and when you buy 3 months of Sling TV, you get a free Amazon or Roku streaming stick, or you can get $50 off a Roku 3 or Fire TV set-top box. So that's big. That's a big deal. That promotion's going on. Link will be in the show notes. Microsoft is also spending cash like crazy here to reinvent itself. They've been acquiring a lot of app development companies, especially successful ones, to write forked versions for the Windows Phone and for the Windows operating system. Of course, Windows 10 is going to be all one dealio together, and but they're buying companies up that they think is cool. So if you've got a cool app that's doing well on Android, but it's not been done for Windows, you might become an acquisition target for the Microsoft team. All right, in the most weird article that I think I've seen today, and selfie sticks are cool. I have no problem with selfie sticks. Matter of fact, I know a company's sending me a selfie stick right now. But when the President of the United States uses a selfie stick, there's just something fundamentally wrong. I'm just a little surprised that the president would allow someone to take a picture of him using a selfie stick. Is that photoshopped? It shows him winking. I'm sorry. I guess I shouldn't be surprised if we're taking selfies at a funeral. All right, those of you pilots out there, and depending on what type of aircraft you have, maybe you've got loose panel doors. When the door opens, it's probably not a good idea to have your MacBook near the door. But a MacBook fell 1,000 feet from an airplane and survived the landing. It was in a duffel bag, so it was a little cushioned a little bit, but it got tore up pretty good. But it still booted and ran, and the guy was able to get his pictures off. There's a little bit of a story behind it, but it did get jacked up, but it's tweaked, you can see. But it's still, I wouldn't want to use this in the house because probably the battery got bent, and that could end up being a very, 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 very bad situation. Also, if you're a Fitbit user, Fitbit says the new wearable devices can cause a skin rash, so that's not good. They're saying a limited percentage of users reported skin irritation and advised users to take a break from the device. And Fitbit was forced to recall its older Force wristbands when a large number of users claimed it caused skin rashes. And it comes as the reports compare the accuracy of the. So basically, they're having trouble here. It's called the surge is the one that's causing the problem. So just be aware of that, okay? And it looks kind of nasty. I wonder if it got hot or something. It's pretty. When you're. Everyone's been wearing watches since forever. And how come we can't get, it comes to electronic device, and that's scary. That's really, really scary. If you're watching, it's like a big red welt. The skin's dried up. You can see where the guy's been scratching it. Ugh. So if you've been having a rash, be aware that it's happening. We knew this was coming. Tesla has announced it's going to make batteries for in-home use. Production begin in 6 months. This is going to be awesome. No real details at this point of how big integration, how it's going to work, but this is the way we get off the grid, folks, completely, where we can basically tell the electric company, to pack sand and take your cables and go home. Use the sun to charge the battery, and basically be completely self-sufficient, or as sufficient as you can. So exciting stuff. Chevy's making its long-range Bolt EV concept car reality. They're going to be going into production in 2016. So the 200-mile Bolt, B-O-L-T EV, is going to go into production. They say it's going to be around $30,000. And, of course, that's going to be in direct competition with Tesla's upcoming Model 3 EV. Can't wait for that to come out. That is going to be such a hit. It really, really is. Okay, Comcast as well, and I'm moving quickly here, as you can see. I apologize. But Comcast has been known for basically renaming customers' accounts when people are not happy with them. So let me, the first one I had was pretty funny, but they've got an auto generator. So if you call Comcast and you complain, for me, I'm going to be the El Grande Ass Monkey. That is a King Nose Picker, a big old failed pop singer, ultra tricky. I'm using a automated system to go through the words. Basically, this is what would come on your bill. Madam Garbage, Basic Meanie, it's Repulsive Newton. So anyway, it's you guys get the idea. So, oh, Comcast, not very smart on your part to be changing people's bills to a different name. Amazon, those of you who use AWS services, you're going to be excited about this. Amazon Web Service is basically released a management tool called Config. It provides troubleshooting and security analysis features designed to give IT staff more control over cloud resources. I cannot wait to dig into this. So anyway, this hopefully it will be easy to use. But AWS config is priced at US 0.003 per configuration change. Yeah. But this is cool. So anyway, you can do configuration changes and look at configuration setups of your AWS stuff and security settings. So it's quick at a glance and make changes. Very, very cool. All right, what else? Hey, if you have anybody that you know that's in a South Carolina prison, be very aware that if they start trying to get on social media, there is heavy penalties, years added to services if inmates are caught on social media. They can almost kill someone and not have as bad of a additional time put on sentences. And I'm obviously joking here a little bit, but the rules are such that people could rack up years and years and years of extra time and solitary confinement just by being, and I don't know how they're getting social media, I guess on cell phones or something that are being snuck in, but kind of an interesting development in South Carolina. All right, Lyft is reportedly raising hundreds of millions to compete with Uber's massive cash pile. So they're trying to raise some cash. They're trying to raise $500 million on a $2 billion valuation. So Lyft is trying to compete with Uber in a big way. I took a regular cab out of the airport in Chicago. I didn't take Uber or Lyft. Also, Virgin Galactic has announced its build its satellite launcher at California's Long Beach Airport. Wow, so that's interesting. That they're going to launch from Long Beach. The question is, can they do that safely and not be risking population centers? Well, I guess, they're going to use White Knight 2 to do this. I guess they just take off like a regular airplane, get to altitude, and launch this thing. But anyway, link will be up in the show notes on that. Now, of course, the measles scare has been going around, and you guys may be surprised where low vaccination rates are really happening. A Wired investigation shows that some children attending daycare facilities with prominent Silicon Valley companies have not been completely vaccinated against preventable infectious disease. At least that's according to a giant database from California Department of Public Health, which tracks vaccination rates at daycare facilities and preschools in states. They selected the Wired selected 20 large technology and health companies in the Bay Area and researched their daycare offerings. Of 12 daycare facilities affiliated with tech companies, 6, and that's half, have below average vaccination rates. And those 6 have a level of measles vaccinations that does not provide the herd immunity critical to the spread of the disease. So, wow. Herd immunity critical. Wow. It's just amazing. So, a lot of resistance to vaccinations. Also, there's a cool article about The Verge, and if you see this video, it's going to unnerve you a little bit. And it's basically about a company that builds those walking robots. They kind of look like almost like dogs a little bit. And when you guys see this video, you're going to be like, "That's weird." And this gentleman's trying to demonstrate stability of their device, but he's basically kicking the device, and of course it's recovering and standing up. And The Verge has this title of this article, "Stop Kicking the Robots Before They Start Kicking Us." And it's kind of like, that's kind of true. These robots become self-aware, and, it could be bad for all of us. And here's this guy kicking. I can think of as in 20 or 30 years, a robot reviews this video and says, see, humans were mean to us in the early days. They were abusing us, kicking us. Let's take them over, So I saw this. I was kind of like, and it's an inanimate object. Don't get me wrong. But it is just kind of bizarre when you read the story title and then you read the article. Good job on Verge. It kind of weirded me out a little bit, if I must say so. All right, last article. The FBI can't find its own drone privacy reports. Programs run by the United States government typically are required to undergo a privacy impact assessment. If there's a chance, they veer into monitoring the activity of citizens. The assessment helps balance the risk and benefits of the program and help guide any oversight to preventive use. But despite being legally mandated, the FBI and Justice Department have had a tough time producing the assessments done in conjunction with the Bureau's domestic surveillance drone program, first telling privacy advocates to file a Freedom of Information Act, and then rejecting the request because they couldn't find the documents that were required to be done in the first place. So, sounds like more government bureaucracy. Okay, so let me go ahead and see where we're at for time. I just, live stream. How come you're not being cooperative? One of the streamers stopped. Let me go ahead and load the email up here. And I should have had this open, but I did not. So it'll probably take a second for it to load. Hope you guys enjoyed the show today. We're just about done here, and let me. I'm sure I've got a stack of stuff to go through. Let me look at the calendar. So the last show would have been that date there. So I have to go back at least that far. All right, maybe a little bit further. All right, I got an email from Bree, and Bree says, "Hey Todd, the federal government is ready for the commercialization of the moon." And she provides me an article link here from govx.com. I'll have that link up in the show notes, so definitely appreciate that, Bree. Got an email from Jack that says, "Hey, Todd, I thought you'd be interested in the following story from the Wall Street Journal. Washington conquers the internet. Tom Wheeler bids to become the Frank Underwood of the internet." So this is basically a little different angle on Title II. So I'll have that in the link in the show notes for you. Those of you that have Wall Street Journal app, maybe a little easier to find, but again, it's an online article. I'll have that as well. I got an email from Google Plus from Darren. He says, "Hey Todd, since you've been talking about Japanese vending machines, I thought I'd show you what they installed in my office break room for a few months ago. It takes cash, credit, debit, and it works with Google Wallet and Apple Pay. The only negative is that you're charged 10 cents extra for the convenience of a credit/debit. Darren, and I saw the machine that you've got in your break area. I've seen some of those same machines around here too. I saw somebody use Apple Pay on the exact sensor that's on your vending machine in your break room. So again, like I said, it was a first for me. So you're seeing it in your side too. I think they'll become pretty commonplace here soon. Also got an email from Jeff talking about the Xbox One February 15, 2015 update from BGR.com. I'll have that linked up in the show notes. Appreciate that, Jeff. And hey, Near, thanks for sending that email. I need to get connected, make an appointment with Eden, but definitely appreciate your introduction to him. It's greatly appreciated, and I just need to get hooked up with him. I haven't done so yet, but I do appreciate that reach out. And then finally tonight, another article from Jack says, this article comes under the heading of "Careful What We Ask For." Did you notice one of the things Tom Wheeler promised was that there would be no unbundling of the last mile? In other words, he was telling the cable companies and ISPs no competition on the last mile. For every very complex problem, there is a simple response that is wrong. I think that we have just lost the internet to the government, regulation and control, the great internet power grab. Another article from the Wall Street Journal. So thanks for that, Jack. I definitely appreciate that submission. So I'll have those all up in the show notes. Hey, if you got something out of today's show, got some value out of it, we're entertained in the least, definitely consider becoming an insider. And I have to admit, I'm behind on thanking people, but I know we've gotten some new major contributors to the show, and I'm not going to, on the next show, I'll go into that, and I'll thank those that have come on board. We've had some people come in at the $25 a month level. I really, really appreciate all of you that have stepped up and either increased your donation level. That is just, it's super. It really is. If we could get 100 or 1,000 or even crazy numbers like 10,000 people to contribute your $2, $5, $10, $15, or $20 or $25 a month, it's amazing what we could really do here as an Ohana. So, and I know that is lofty goals here, but just to think that at the $2 level, with 10,000 people signed up, I could have a couple of full-time people. It really would make a big difference. So consider becoming an insider. geeknewscentral.com/insider. Again, your $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, $25 a month contribution is greatly appreciated, and I hope that you do so. Again, if you have comments on today's show, geeknews@gmail.com, and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, all those places. We'll be back with an audio show only Monday and Friday of next week. No live, so basically it's going to be kind of old school. I'm going to record it in the hotel room. We're going to put it online, and you guys will have it available. So watch for it that way. Again, no video next week. That'll be the week of the 13th or 14th, or actually the week of the 15th, I think is what it actually is. But I'll be in California. No meetups or anything like that. This is a pretty serious week-wise for me. So I'll be out, but I'll be back here in Honolulu on the 21st. So a new media show this coming Saturday morning, but no new media show next week. And then I do have some more trips in March, but it should not affect the show at all. And I actually got one trip to meet with Ford as well. Going to be doing a Ford trip as well in March. And then going to the East Coast in late March as well. But hey, look forward to being on Donkey Kong here on steady from here on out. Everyone, thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the family. Thanks for listening. Everyone, take care. We'll see you next time. Aloha.